Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, today we will discuss the very important part of a housing policy and planning, which is the technology system which enables a developer or which ultimately delivers housing to the user groups. So, before we come to the technology systems, let us have a quick recap of the last discussion. In the last discussion, we discussed about the housing finance and affordability. In the affordability section, we discussed two elements, what is which influences the relative affordability of a product. One is the supply side, which reduces the price of the product or cost of the product, and the demand side intervention, which basically enhances the capacity of the people to purchase a house. Then we discussed the housing finance, some concept of the housing finance, how it is operated, what is the major processes and the major problems and issues. We have seen that major problems was the access by the common people, poor people to the housing finance, its flexibility, and the formal mechanism which creates some barrier. And also we have seen that the NPS, non performing assets, which is a major concern from the major bank, and based on that discussion we will come to the next part of the discussion today, which is called as the technology systems. In the initial lectures, when we discussed the problems of housing delivery, we identified several elements which is basically barriers or creating barriers in effective housing delivery, and within that we identified 2-3 major barriers. One major barrier was housing affordability, which is discussed last day, and later on also will come as and when required. Another major barrier was that the project construction, project delivery of the housing. Because housing is such a subject, such a matter which need to be constructed on ground really and delivered to the people, and it depends on many factors: land, availability of the material, availability of the labor, the technology system or technology which is actually creating this the housing, how it is delivering, and the administrative and the office institutional mechanism, which also influences the speed of the housing. So, within that we have seen that in the current practice, the one housing bigger housing project like say 500 or 1000 unit housing project, which takes say 4 years or 5 years from the inception to the completion or the disposal, and sometimes it takes more, it is delayed. One of the major problem of this delay and the duration, long duration, is the conventional technology system or conventional construction system which you use, and this construction system by and large is on site. And since it is on site construction, that means starting from the foundation to the superstructure to the everything, finishing, infrastructure, everything is done on site, and because of the on site it takes long time, and not only time, the on site activity of the construction, on site 100% on site construction, it leads to time delay. And since there is a time delay, it leads to cost escalation. Another very important part is related with that since it is a site based construction, the quality also compromised. quality of the product, quality of the housing are also compromised, because it is the on site construction based on the actual availability of the labor and its his skill level. So, these are the issues, and also sometimes it leads to the conflicts between the end users and the developer, and the dissatisfaction. As a response to this problem, one of the solution is that to convert this on site activity to a off site model, where the major construction takes place in a factory in terms of building components. Every component of a house which is manufactured at the factory under a given design prescription, and then transported to the site and assembled on the site. And the major difference is in the on-site construction, the activities, some of the activities are not possible during the rainy season, and it is prone to weather. You cannot construct a house in a rainy season or in a very extreme weather, but if it is off-site construction, then you do the construction or the manufacturing at the factory, and then you come to the site and assemble in a given period of in a suitable time, in a convenient time. So, in a short, you achieve the time, and if you achieve the time, the cost and quality. Why quality? Because if it is done at the factory, it is the quality, it is standardized product, it is done in a standardized and more monitored process. So, it ensures the quality as well, and as a result the more satisfaction will be there, and dissatisfaction will be resolved. Some of the countries, they have gone through this process of the on-site construction to the off-site construction to get the benefit of the time effectiveness, cost effectiveness, quality, everything. Some of the country, they call it as a modular construction, some of the country they call it as a manufactured construction, or some of the country they call it as a industrialized building system or building technology for the faster housing. So, the major advantage of this construction is basically the time savings. So, in a typical modular construction schedule, and this is a site build construction schedule where you have the permit and approvals, then site development, then building construction and site restoration. So, building construction and site restoration basically takes long time, which takes basically 3 to 5 years for India, whereas in a modular construction or off-site construction, you just need little time to install and site restoration. So, this is the time savings for typical off-site construction, which we are calling as industrialized building system, which is nothing but to incorporate the industrialized system at the off-site or the factory, and then bringing the product or the component in the site and assembling for the faster delivery of the housing. So, to understand in a better way how it works and what can be done for India, let us understand its how it works technically. Now, ultimately, since the housing is a building and it is a 3-dimensional object, this object can be analyzed in 3 ways. One could be that we consider each room or each unit as a box, which is called monolithic or box system or 3-dimensional system. Another approach could be that to make a enclosed space, to make a building, we consider each and every walls as a panel, which is called as a total system, and which is basically 2-dimensional, because if we ignore the thickness for our convenience of understanding, it is basically 2-dimensional. It is not enclosing a space fully, but multiple units of panel can enclose a space in a better way. And also the traditional way of constructing a house, like the beam, the column and the beam, which makes a structure, and use of multiple number of columns and beams can create an enclosed space, which is called frame system or linear system, which is basically kind of a linear 1-dimensional component. So, in industrialized system we can use any of the approach based on our situation. Now, let us see which of the situation will be suitable or useful for Indian case. Now, based on this system, there are two different characteristics which basically influence the system. Those are called as closed system and open system. In a closed system, the whole design, standardization and construction is done by only one provider or one manufacturer. So, closed system can be, the production can be based on the client design. Client design means if client can provide a design to a manufacturer can produce that housing starting from the design to the construction and deliver to the client, and it can be based on the precaster or the producer's design. Sometimes the developer or producer or precaster, they can design a product, they can design, construct and manufacture and supply to the market, and based on the market situation people can buy directly from the people. So, these are closed system. The characteristics of the closed system is, if I as a precaster or a producer I develop a module, I develop a product, in that product no other company, no other manufacturer will be able to monitor or to modify the product or to enhance the product. So, it is closed to the other agency, whereas in a open system, where in a common standardized platform many companies can participate, many company can give their product and those product can be assembled. It is like a assembled computer, where in a basis in a common format the components from various companies are assembled and integrated to for a particular purpose. So, in the open system allows basically greater better flexibility, and also it allows the precaster to produce a limited number of elements with a predetermined range of product, because in open system it involves integration of multiple number of agencies, multiple number of manufacturers and the producers. So, so many numbers may not be possible, limited number of options are possible, but yes, the compatibility is the issue, but the advantage of the open system is that it offers the flexibility and it offers it don't encourage a monopoly. But here, since the closed system is dependent on either by the producers or by the client, it basically encourages monopoly, and it is dependent on the very few, one or two large developer, large manufacturer. But in open system many manufacturers, second category, third category, fourth category, small, medium, higher and very large developer or producer, they can participate and they can develop housing. Now, in an industrialized system or a offsite based system, there are several stages which is required for a country like India. Like initially we start from local material and manual construction on site, and then slowly we go to the industrial, using the industrial material and then manual process in situ. Then we convert the manual in situ assembly of industrial material. That means we are going to manual process, but we are assembling the industrial material. Like right now in the projects, the overall process is manual and site based, but we are using some of the industrial material, fixtures, finishing, like say steel, or the fixtures like say plumbing fixtures, the flooring element, the windows, doors, those are manufactured in the industry. So, we are assembling that, we are using that, but in a manual method. Then after the next stage there will be the partial prefabrication. Partial means some of the components like say wall or the columns or the beams or the slab components will be prefabricated, and after that some of the part will be on site, and the maybe fixtures and finishing will be done at the on site. So, this is called partial. So, right now we are in this position in India, which is basically is a combination of the manual labor, and the on site construction, and also some amount of partial prefabrication we are using. We will show the example next day. So, the next stage, the closed building concept or closed system with prefab components, maybe one or two or few developers can, or producer, they can come forward and they can develop the whole package of the housing in an industrialized mode. That means the whole houses will be developed, constructed, manufactured in the factory and will be supplied to the site on the given time and may be assembled, and that is possible in the desired quality if it is done in a closed building system. Now the closed building system needs a integration with the computer aided drafting and design, and this will lead to a greater flexibility of the component which is integrated in a given platform, given formatting of the dimensions. So after that procedure, the open system with many suppliers with application of the CAD and open system from various network of companies can achieve, but these are the further stages which some of the countries they have achieved these stages. In these stages they have achieved like many suppliers, many precasters, they are working in the market, and various options, various types of housing typologies they are available in the market, and which does not need more than 2 to 3 months to execute in the site, and it is cheaper, it is affordable, it is very quickly constructed options of the housing typology. But what do you need to have this industrialized building system? There are various prerequisites, like some of the prerequisites are on site, some of the conditions required which is off site, which is required beyond the boundary, and some of the prerequisite policy. I start with the policy parameter, like to enable this kind of construction we need a availability of the bigger land. Sometimes we are talking about the basically the large housing, mass housing, and for mass housing bigger lands is required. So if we change the technology from the conventional technology to the new technology, the land is the very important input. Then the private investment possibility, there are very few developers who will be very much interested to invest the prefabricated or the industrialized technology. So private investment is required, and for that we need a policy paradigm by the government. Right now the present government, they are encouraging the industrialized building system and the prefabricated system largely. There are various developers who are coming forward to invest in this sector. I will give the example later on. And whenever there is a change of technology, there is a need for the quality control. So for this quality control we need building code and the inspection mechanism to ensure the quality. So new set of building rules, building code, new set of control mechanism is required to be developed. And not only that, to execute this in the ground level we need training and capacity building for the people who will be working in the factory, who will be working in the site, who will be working in the authorities to sanction the building plans. So every level there will be training and capacity building, because there is a change of whole delivery system of the housing. Then the employment and labor related reforms, not only the training and capacity building, some reforms will be required in the labor laws. That is the part of the policy framework done by the government of India. So apart from the macro level changes in the policy, we need some amount of reforms or the change at the off-site parameters. Like if we want to construct the building components in a factory and want to transport them in an area, in another area which is distant, we need a better transport network, very robust kind of, a very strong kind of transport network consisting the off-site road and wider road, strong road, the better pavement design, so that large size vehicles can carry all those building materials to the one place to another place. Another very important point in this point what I would like to discuss is that even after the any natural disaster is happen, we need large infrastructure, large road infrastructure to carry the transit houses from one place to another place to erect and to assemble. And the road infrastructure is not sufficient, we need the industrialized process of the manufacturing. For that the ecosystem of the industrialized system of the manufacturing, along with this labor input, material input, the institutional input is required, overhead input is required, and it is possible with the policy framework of the government as well as with the help of the private investigator. And then we come to the on-site requirement, the suitability for the erection and the assembly. Like a place like in a hilly region like Uttarakhand and the place like in a plain region of like say MP or UP may be different geographically and topographically. So the type of housing typology or the technology, the particular typology of technology may not be suitable in plain land, which is suitable in hilly land. So based on the type of the plot and type of the context, the selection of the technology is very crucial, which is dependent on site. Second is the applicability and flexibility for the housing in Indian context. In India, the major housing construction is incremental, because incremental housing is more popular because of the nature of the family structure, the social structure, how people grow economically over the period of time. So if it is possible within the construction system that there is some scope of incremental construction, some amount of scope to make further addition in the house, that kind of flexibility is required in the new technology system also. Then quality and characteristics of the structure, quality should be durable against all the weather effect, the hot season, the winter season and also rainy season. It should be able to withstand all the weather effect, including the natural disaster like flood and the cyclone and the seismic threats. So it should be durable considering all the major threats. And also space standards and the dimensional and modular coordination, and the developed module will be contextual for that particular city or particular zone or particular target group. So which is basically the area specific or geographical on site specific requirement, like the specific space standards. For example, the dimension of the room or dimension of the any module for any area in plain land may not be equal with the other land. The dimension of a house in a tribal land may not be equal of a dimension of a house which is done at the city core area. So depending on the context, depending on the target group, depending on the geographical location, we may have to vary the space standards, the coordination between these space standards and its module. So in short, the on-site, off-site and policy parameters are very much required to bring or to change over the technology from one system to another system. So the progress in India, till last decade there has been lot of experimentation of the products, like say building products, the flooring, the walling and the roofing element, but it is in spite of all those experiment and the attempts, we could not achieve a total technology transfer, total technology change in the India in the mass housing sector. It was limited to the laboratory experiment with some pilot experiment and pilot demonstration project. But right now there is a big thrust by the Government of India after the National Housing and Habitat Policy, and with the current Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, there is a sub mission which is called technology submission. Under the technology submission, government has identified many technologies which will transfer the technology from on-site to off-site, and these technologies are the identified technology, like using monolithic construction technology, monolithic concrete construction, expanded polystyrene panel system, 3S system, speed force system, GFRG panel system, then modular building system and light gauge steel framed structure. Next day when we will show some of the case studies in Indian situation, where we will see that the large scale construction, mass housing construction is possible using some of the technologies like that, but most of the technologies are under development in most of the research laboratories, including IITs and the central research laboratories. So after some time, maybe after 5 years or 10 years, these technologies will be able to deliver housing in a faster way, in a speedier way, and as a result of that it will reduce the cost of the building in a great extent. So with this we summarize the today's discussion. Today we discussed the technology systems, which is basically supply side intervention, because to change a technology from on site to off site, technology can reduce the cost of a housing project substantially, because if we change from on site to off site, we get the advantage of the time, advantage of the cost, advantage of the quality and advantage of the user satisfaction, but it needs several prerequisite like on site prerequisite, off site prerequisite and policy prerequisite, and as a system it has three different kind of system. One is a box system, panel system and linear system. It has two different characteristics. One is a open system and another is a closed system. Closed system is dependent on the provider, supplier, who is basically developing the whole package, whole building as a package, whole housing as a package, where other providers, other suppliers are not allowed or permitted to intervene. Whereas in open system, many suppliers and many providers, many producers, they work in a common platform like a assembled computer, and closed system is a open system follows the closed system. Open system comes after the closed system. In India right now we are going through a combination of on site and off site construction using manual labor mostly, but next stage probably with the closed system and with the government policy we can have a better system to deliver housing using the new technologies. And in India, after the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and technology submission, we have shown that various technologies are identified. Next day we will show you some of the case study, some of the examples how this technology can be used to reduce the time and the cost, and what are the future prospect in this regard. So, thank you.